68 till I die. You got somebody, hey, Jeff, shut up. No.
I'm sorry, man. I'm blacked out for a second.
This is Coach Bruce Pearl. I love the field of 68 after dark. I listen to it all the time. This is Duke head coach John Shire. Check out Field of 68 After Dark.
This is Xavier head coach Sean Miller. I highly encourage you to take a look at After Dark, led by the one and only John Phantom.
Now, listen to you guys every morning when I'm getting ready. From the bluest of the blue bloods to the smallest of the mid-majors. This is Field of 68 After Dark.
Welcome to the Field of 68 After Dark. It's a thirsty Thursday tonight here on the Field of 68. We got Tyler Hansbrough. We got Randolph Childress. My name is Greg Waddell. A lot of Big Ten games to get through tonight. You know I like that. We're also going to talk about some ACC teams, some bubble movement this week. We've got our bracketology show tomorrow, so we'll get you prepared for that. And right now, Boo Buie, who might be my favorite player in the country, has 35 points in a tie game with a minute and a half left. I'm wearing a Boo Buie jersey as we speak, ladies and gentlemen. There's no telling where this night will take us. RC, it's good to see you, my friend. How you doing tonight?
I'm good, man, but that might be a fake, man. Boo Buie went 4 tonight, man. He just switched it up, man. He didn't got a new number, man.
That's a good point.
He's rocking a 0.
We don't know which version of Boo is the better Boo at this point. Both of them have been killing. Tyler, how you doing tonight, man?
Man, I'm doing great.
Good. It's good to see you. We are going to work your Tar Heels in tonight, by the way. I see them on the rundown. I'm pretty excited about that. No worries. As always, guys, we are brought to you by Bet Rivers, where I have to say this. Bet Rivers has been putting together some pretty awesome promotions for us lately. They've been putting together bets that we specifically asked them to boost up for the good people out there that want to bet on college basketball. Tonight, we gave them a Road Warriors parlay. Penn State, Michigan, and Northwestern, all to win outright. All were underdogs on the road. We're 2 for 2. Northwestern had a huge lead. If they can secure this victory, that paid out plus 1970 at Bet Rivers. Crazy money. $100 bet would win you almost $2,000. So go to Bet Rivers. Make sure you lock in on those boosts with us. We are live on Sirius XM Channel 84, College Sports Radio as well. You can watch us on the Field of 68 YouTube channel. Make sure you throw us a like, jump in the comments. We will answer your questions every single commercial break and after the show on the afters. All right, we're going to start in the Big Ten. We're going to start with my basketball team. The Wolverines have not even been the next 4 out over the last 2 months. They have been so far off the bubble. They have needed to string some wins together. They got the emotional win over Michigan State over the weekend, and now they go to the rack tonight with Caleb McConnell active off the bench, but a little hobbled. No Jet Howard, and the Wolverines secure a grimy, ugly road victory to put themselves back on the bubble. So I'll go to you first here, RC. Do you think that Michigan is firmly back in the NCAA tournament conversation, at least after this game?
I think they're in the conversation. I mean, they got some work to do. I mean, they got to finish the season strong. I mean, they're right there. They're 17, 16, and 12 now. I mean, you got to finish the season strong. You can't go 16 and 14 or anything like that. They got to win out. And but they've won 5 of their last 7. So they dug themselves out of the hole. They're digging themselves, I should say, out of the hole. And today was impressive. They did it, without Jet, and they did it on the defensive end. I mean, that was a grimy, physical-ass game, and they came out and they responded. Credit to those guys.
I think you're saying they dug themselves out of the hole. I thought that was a play on words because Doug McDaniel was fantastic for them tonight, RC. He really was.
He was.
He made some big plays for them against Michigan State, too, as well. Tyler, this is now becoming a trend a little bit in the Juwan Howard era. We've seen Michigan teams with a lot of talent struggle early in the season, kind of fizzle out early in the Big Ten season, just a middle-of-the-pack team. And all of a sudden, in February, they flip a switch, and they're starting to play their best basketball of the year. In fact, in the Juwan Howard era, Michigan teams are 21-8 now in the month of February. That's much better than they've been in January or in March. So what does that say about this program, this team, and Juwan Howard as a coach? Is that something we can look at as a trend?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, you want to play your best basketball in March and April. It's never a good idea to peak in December, but everyone starts the season off in a good mindset, and to be able to sustain it and keep improving and then peak mid-March or right before March is the idea to kind of get that momentum going into the tournament. So I think he's done a good job. And also I thought Michigan I thought Hunter was going to be he is one of the best bigs, but I had some expectations for him and Michigan coming into the season. So it looks like they're finally starting to be the team that some people thought. But it was a good win. It was a great match tonight, especially at Rutgers, because I really like that Omori kid. He's really athletic, and I wanted to see him and Hunter go at it. So that was really exciting for me.
Yeah, when Michigan struggled in the first half, it was almost single-handedly Amori and how much he impacted the game defensively. You couldn't even really throw the ball into Hunter, honestly, because Amori was pushing him off his spot so effectively in a way that Hunter just hasn't really been affected much this season. I want to ask you as a big man, what is the level of, I guess, responsibility for Hunter's stagnation, for a word? I don't want to say he's regressed necessarily, but he hasn't really taken the jump individually that a lot of people expected. I think him and Trace Jackson Davis, for example, have kind of been neck and neck their whole careers. TJD took an extra step this year to oh my God, he could be the national player of the year, or at least second to Zach Edey. Hunter hasn't really done that. A lot of people would point to the guys around him and say they're not giving him a lot of help. There's a lot of double teams he's seen, but what can a big man do? If the roster's not the perfect fit, should we still expect Hunter Dickinson to make individual strides he hasn't made this year?
Absolutely. For me, I think it does. If you have I think it works off each other. I think your teammates, if you have shooters, it's going to open things up for you in the lane. But also, Hunter's a very good passer out of the post. And so when he takes his time and he really establishes himself in good scoring position, I think that's when Hunter's really effective. And obviously when he gets to his left and he's on the left block, I think he's drastically better on that side. But for me, it would be, a lot of kids put a lot of pressure on themselves to score. But I think if they make the right position, deep seals, duck ins, and things like that, kind of seems like a lost art. But putting yourself into position has a lot to do with it, and positioning, moving without the ball, especially as a big, for Hunter, I think would be great.
No Jett Howard tonight, RC. I want to ask you about that, because he went down essentially in a tie game with about 8 minutes left against Michigan State. And I was watching it live, and I'm like, oh, this game's over, thinking in a negative way. If they lose that much of a key to their offense, they just don't have the scoring power. They went on a 12-0 run without Jett in the end game, mostly due to Terrace Reed dominating off the bench. And then tonight, honestly, to my eye, I thought a lot of the bad habits this team has had, struggling on the boards, just a lack of defensive awareness, I thought a lot of that was a lot better tonight without Jett Howard. What did you see there?
Hey, it was. I mean, let's be honest. They won this on the defensive end. I mean, and not that Rutgers is a great offensive juggernaut, but Dougie, we knew that. He's not a great shooter. He can make shots, but he can pressure the hell out the ball, set the tone. But I just thought they did. When they switched everything, they kept him out. They pushed him outside, kept him from being rolled in the post. Their guard play, I mean, just overall. I mean, and playing with a big, with Amori being a post guy, it kept Hunter in the post where he didn't have to try to go out and guard on the perimeter. So give those guys credit, man. They won this on the defensive end. Rutgers helped them out, missing so many damn free throws. I mean, they were horrendous tonight. They were 5 of 16 from the free throw line. And I don't know how you don't shoot it great. You sure as hell can't miss 11 free throws.
Yeah, you're right. They've definitely left the door open quite a bit, especially in the first half. And then they came out, missed the first 2 free throws in the second half as well. But yeah, interesting result there. Cause I loved this Rutgers team when they were fully healthy. I thought when they had Mawat Mag, this was a top 4 team in this conference to me, one that I had my eye on in the NCAA tournament. And man, they're just a lot different and a lot more depleted.
They're limping across the finish line.
Yeah, it's just kind of sad to see it happen, but hey, that happens. Injuries are part of the game. Let's move next to Penn State's victory over Ohio State tonight. Actually, a pretty aesthetically pleasing game at times here. A little more offense than I think some people would have expected. Penn State plays, the way they surround Jalen Pickett with those shooters and they let him go to work. I mean, they're a fun offense to watch, but Ohio State kept up for large stretches of this game with some nice individual shot making from Bryce Sensabaugh. And this is now, guys, I can't believe this stat. This is 14 losses in 15 games for Ohio State. And not only that, I mean, for those of you that bet like I do, this is 14 games they have not covered out of 15 games. I mean, it's just unheard of in the sport for something to happen that consistently. Penn State, though, got it done when it mattered, and they are another team on the bubble. RC, you think Penn State has a better shot at getting into the tournament than the Michigan team we just talked about?
Well, they do because they were the first 4 out. And getting a win tonight, I mean, which counts as a quad 1 win, which I don't understand how for a team that lost 9 straight. Like, how the hell do you get a quad 1 win with that one? But a lot smarter people than me understand that because I still don't get that. That makes no sense to me at all. None at all. But again, they took care of business. You had to win that game. You know, Ohio State's lost 9 straight now. They had 8 straight coming into this one. So if you're on a bubble and you're first 4 out, you just can't do it. And credit to Penn State. They came in, took care of business. Pickett struggled the first half, only had 2, came out, closed the show with 21 in the second half, and he closed the game and finished it for him. So, you know, you got to win these games when you're in the Big Four like that, or a 4 outside trying to get in.
Tyler, do you think Ohio State's quit on the season right now?
Man, I thought they showed some battle.
Yeah.
I like Sensenball. I don't think they quit. I think Penn State can get hot. I think Jalen Pickett, once they get going and they start shooting well, they can play with anybody. But no, I don't think Ohio State has quit. But I mean, it's hard to make a case that they're playing. I mean, they're not playing well. But I don't think they've quit.
They've had some injuries too, and credit to those guys. They started 4 freshmen tonight. I mean, and those guys, they played their tail off. They were right there at the end. I mean, and then Pickett just went to work on the young guys, and there was nothing they can do when they got the switches. He went inside. He got going. He just closed the game like you expect the all-conference guy to be. But the freshmen battled their ass off. I was impressed with the group. I mean, I thought they played well.
Yeah, they've got talent. That's the thing.
Yeah.
I think with both the Michigan team we just talked about, who was on the right side of the victory column tonight, and then this Ohio State team that's been on the wrong side for 2 months, like both of these teams to me are top half talented teams in this Big Ten conference, which is not even a little bit down. It's a down year in the Big Ten from what we've seen over the last decade. And I don't know, like I look at what Ohio State did in the non-conference, like, I mean, they were competitive with some better basketball teams than the teams they've seen in conference play, right? Like San Diego State was a pretty good game. They lost that game. Duke at Duke was a pretty good game. They lost that game. But I feel like some of their losses before tonight have really snowballed. And I give them credit tonight for making it close, which you would hope they can do against a bubble team in Penn State at home. But to me, I really do feel like a lot of it was just making shots that they haven't made in a couple weeks. I want to ask about Holtman a little broader before we wrap this segment, though, because he's now, I'm going to pull it up to be exact here. I believe this is year 6 at Ohio State for Chris Holtman. Year 1, this is 6. I got it up now. So year 1, he inherited a couple upperclassmen, Keita Bates-Diop and Jayshawn Tate, who were pretty dang good, 25 and 9. Mm-hmm. Every year since, he's won a maximum of 21 games. He's lost a minimum of 10 games. Every team until this year, he's been safely in the tournament, but there hasn't been much of a high ceiling either at the national level or even in the Big Ten. He's been around a 5th place finish every year since he's been here. No Sweet 16 appearances in his 6 years at Ohio State. Should his seat be hot at this point after 1 year like this one?
Are you serious?
I'm serious, RC.
You really believe that?
No, I'm just asking. I'm just asking.
I can't see how. I mean, why?
Well, I think based on
they're not depleted of talent. They've had their share of injuries. We just talked about that.
Who are the injuries on this team, though? Just Zed Key, right?
Zed had, but it was nagging. It was like a shoulder injury. So even when he was playing, he wasn't healthy. So you can't, you punishing him for trying to tough it out. And it's a shoulder deal. So, what do you think? I mean, what do you expect from a guy? And I'm not saying this to you, but just in general, take it from somebody that's had 3 shoulder surgeries. When they start giving you trouble, then it's not much you can do. So it's down year. I mean, and for the people that I would say, I know there's a lot of talk about wanting them out of there. For who?
Fair.
Do you not think that his seat is a little bit warm, though? I mean,
for 1 year not making the tournament?
Well, they've never made the Sweet 16 either, right?
Okay.
I think it kind of comes back to like what should be the expectation from a fan base of Ohio State basketball? Like, is their expectation to compete at a national level? Because I don't think Holtman has shown signs of that at all, even with the good recruiting classes.
I think it's crazy because you're gonna fire him for who? You know what? It's like Texas. We always talk about this with Texas sometimes. All right. You want to get rid of one coach, then you want to get rid of it's. Correct me if I'm wrong. Who was that? I'm sitting here thinking, who was the first coach they got rid of?
Shaka? Texas?
No, before Shaka. Tennessee.
Rick
Barnes.
Rick
Yeah,
Barnes. So
yeah.
you get rid of Rick Barnes and you get rid of Shaka. And both of them have top 15 programs in the country. So what is it? They can't coach, or is your expectations unrealistic? Like, that's hard as hell. Like, how many teams? We're sitting here right now talking about like, we never thought Carolina would be a bubble team. Never thought Carolina would be a bubble team. And we're sitting here talking about being a bubble team. Like, the times have changed. And so to sit here and expect to think that you are like, how many national championships banners are hanging in Ohio State? Are you serious? This ain't football. Like, what are we talking about here? like So getting to the tournament, Ohio State basketball is so great that getting to the tournament every year, giving yourself a chance, is like old news.
Right now, getting to the tournament is old news for Ohio State. That's the thing, right?
Okay. All right. Well, let's see. All right.
I think he's under pressure. I mean, I feel like coaches. I mean, coaching changing is happening. I mean, it's so quick now. I mean, people expect somebody just to come in and win in the first 3-4 years, but it takes a while to get the program turned around. And I've heard, Wes Miller's a good friend of mine, and he says how hard it is to take a program and build it up to make it a competitive and get into the tournament. That's at UNCG. But it takes a while.
Yeah, that's fair. I'm not saying he should be gone, for the record. I am just asking the question. I think it's a fair one. Because this year's team, I mean, to me, they should be a lot better than 11 and 17. I mean, they have great.
Why?
Because they have a ton of talent from a great recruiting class. I thought he brought in some damn good transfers. And I understand this is a complicated era to build a roster from. You got to pick and choose how you want to do it. But I thought preseason he checked both of those boxes in a way that should have put this team in position to at least compete in the Big Ten. And I'm not even saying win the Big Ten, RC. I'm just saying, like, have the same year he's had the last 5 years, 20 and 11 with this roster with Zedke's injuries. That's fine. But man, 14 out of 15 in this Big Ten.
I just think it's a lot harder than people think it is. All I say is this with that. If the seed is so hot after not making the tournament in 1 year, who in the hell wants to come in there and take that job? Like, who the hell you think gonna come in there?
No, it's fair.
It's like we're talking about with Texas, and I said this. You run off Rick Barnes, you run off Shaka. If I'm another coach, you would have to give me just stupid, guaranteed long-term money for me to entertain it so that when you fire my ass, I'm at least be rich.
No, it's fair. I don't have a name for you.
That's my point, because
because
every time a fan base, if you're talking about a fan base and people do this, like, who's taking that job? You're gonna have to give them so much money to say, all right, I'm gonna go over there. They can fire me, but they're gonna give me $6 million a year or something crazy. Like, why would you leave? Because if there's no way they're giving that job to an assistant, you got to be winning somewhere else. Like, you can make a wish for a coach, and who's gonna take it? Who do you want?
RC, you're dead on, and we have to go to break, so we're going to cut there in just a second. But there isn't a name, straight up. There isn't a name that I have in my head that would want the Ohio State job right now that would be an upgrade from Chris Holtman. I will throw this out there. Why don't you swap him back for Thad Matta, man? You telling me Butler wouldn't take Chris Holtman back? Ohio State wouldn't take Thad Matta back right now?
Yeah,
just do a little swap, man. Just do a little swap. That's all I'm saying. All right, we're gonna go to break, guys. Fascinating segment, though, RC. Thank you for playing along with me there. Coming up, we're gonna talk about Illinois' incredible comeback tonight against Boo Booey's superstar performance from Northwestern. That's next on the Field of 68 After Dark. All right, let's get Trevor in here. Trevor, do we got anything going on in the chat after that?
Let's see. Lots of arguing. I honestly have not been tracking questions. Been watching the end of this.
What are they arguing about?
Right now, they're arguing about Purdue, oddly enough. but maybe that's not so odd. We got a lot of Purdue chatter normally in the chat. I'll just take this one. How far do you guys honestly think Purdue will go? Somebody asked that. In the tournament, that is.
I can see them getting to the second weekend.
You don't see them making a Final Four. You don't think they're a Final Four team?
I don't. I think they're good enough to it, but I think they have to answer the riddle of the pressure and what happens when teams kind of slow the game down in front. Zach Edey, he doesn't get the ball. Like, the guard play has to be better. They haven't been playing great. I think he's the most dominant player, and they got a chance. Teams have been pressuring them. They've been turning it over, and the guard play hadn't been strong. I worry about them. They're going to turn it, and I worry about them playing against a big that can stretch 5 big. They can pull him out.
And when you get out, and you know this, when they get out of the Big Ten, he's going to face that.
Yeah.
At some point in the tournament.
Yeah, I think that's totally fair. I
That's
think
a
I'm
good
with you right
argument.
now. I'd peg them Sweet 16 right now, RC. I would be much more surprised if Purdue made a Final Four than I would be if they lost
5
in the
seconds.
first weekend.
Yeah.
Welcome back to the Field of 68 After Dark. It's a wild night in the Big Ten Conference, which means I'm right at home, gentlemen. I love wild nights in the Big Ten Conference. I've got Tyler Hansbrough with me. I've got Randolph Childress with me. We are here live on Sirius XM channel 84. The YouTube chat is going off right now, talking a lot of Purdue. We're answering questions in the commercial breaks, and we'll stick around after the show as well for the afters. You can throw anything you want at these guys, and we'll get those questions answered. We're going to move to an incredible comeback tonight. Illinois chased down the Northwestern Wildcats to get a victory tonight. Northwestern had a huge lead early in this game, essentially from the very start. They were up 37-19 at halftime of this game. Illinois outscores them 47-25 in the second half and overcame Boo Booey's 35 points tonight for Northwestern, in large part thanks to a great second half from Terrence Shannon. He made 4 threes in the second half. Tyler, I'll throw to you first here. This Illinois team has had some of these topsy-turvy moments this season. They've had games where they look like talent-wise top 5 team in the country. They've had games where they look like a non-NCAA tournament team. You saw both sides of that coin tonight. When we get to the moment of the season where it matters, when it's win or go home, which side of Illinois do you think is more likely to show up?
It's hard to say, and I think they rely on the jump shot too much. From the times I watch them, if they're not hitting, and tonight it looks like they shot 29% from the 3, 7 for, let me see here. What's it say?
24.
Yeah, 7 for 24, which it's not great. It's a lot. I mean, I don't know. I mean, I watched them. I was really disappointed when they got blown out by Mizzou in St. Louis. And I've kind of watched them go up and down. It's been a peak and valley year for them. I'm not really sold on them, but I think if they get the momentum and they get rolling, I mean, they can play with anybody. But I'm not sold on Illinois being a deep tournament team.
RC, what about you?
I won't disagree with that. I mean, they'll get in. I would like to see, piggybacking off of, Tyler's words. I would like to see Danger touch the ball in the post a little bit more, play through him a little bit when you're not hitting. You go a couple of possessions and you're not making shots. Shannon, second half of the game stepped up, carried him, showed what we thought he was as a player, and credit to those guys. They've been through a lot this year early on. We heard rumors about the locker room, guard play, everything that was going, a lot of distractions there, and they seem to have figured things out. And credit to them, credit to the coaches and the staff. I mean, that's their team is sitting pretty good right now. They're in the top 5 of the league, and they're headed to the tournament. And, once you get in, you just figure it out.
Yeah, I don't think there's too many coaches in the country that can totally pivot the direction of their team from what it's supposed to be preseason to what it becomes midseason successfully than Brad Underwood has in the past couple of years. Like, I think back to, I think it was last year that like preseason, Brad would tell everyone who would listen, this is Andre Curbello's team. And then a month and a half into the season, he was coming off the bench and they had a totally different identity, and they were the best team in the Big Ten for stretches of last season. And I think that's sort of happened again this year, not to make it specifically about the transfer who left the program and Sky Clark, but I think they've just had to kind of redefine their identity multiple times. Sometimes it's been Terrence Shannon's going to be our everything. Sometimes it's going to be, we're going to really feature Matthew Meyer offensively. Dane Danger, like you said, has come into his own and been a lot more featured as an element of their offense. And the thing that strikes me about them right now is they do have so many different ways they can beat you. Like 3 of them I just mentioned. Coleman Hawkins, haven't even mentioned him. He's a triple-double threat some games. But I don't know that having so many different ways to beat you is necessarily better than we have one way to beat you, but we know what that way is, and we build our entire identity off it. That's what scares me a little bit about Illinois. You're rolling your eyes at me on that.
No. When you say many ways, I don't think that's a bad thing. I just think that they don't have that dude, so they got to play that way.
Terrence Shannon's not that dude? He's been damn good this year, man.
He's good. I'm not saying he's not, but he can struggle some from the perimeter. Tonight he didn't. He was 4 or 5 from 3. He shot well. He played well tonight. But this is the same team that had 19 points at the half.
Yeah.
It looked like it was going to get blown out of the building. I just think that what you're talking about is just coaching. It's just like, hey, let's see what we got. His team has changed. You had Sky Clark there at one point in time. You probably thought you were going to play one way, and then you get there, and it's like, this ain't working out. And then we got to adapt. You talk about playing through Kofi last year and everything, changed. And now you got a whole new team, a whole new identity. It's different than, like you said, I pick on Carolina again. When you came in, it was like, hey, we running this system. It's work. We know it works. You come in, you do this job. You know it works. It's different than, all right, now these guys are leaving. You can do that when you got dudes coming in like that every year. But when you don't, you got to figure it out.
Yeah, I think there's one thing about being roles defined and coming out there and knowing what you do. And, it's not really good all the time to come out there. All right, let's see who's good, who's going to show up tonight. If you have a system and you know how to play, then other guys and other things can step in, and consistently what you're going to get on a night in, night out basis.
Yeah, I think that's a good way to put it. I think you just said what I was trying to say much better than I did, Tyler. So I appreciate you for the assist there. I want to flip to Northwestern before we have to go to break here, because I really came into this show. I'll be quite honest with you. I was hoping and expecting we were going to talk about a Northwestern victory, because I have a massive crush on this team. And with how good they played in the first half, I was ready to hang the banner and talk about their potential in the NCAA tournament and how special this is, blah, blah, blah. I'm sitting here in a boo-booey Northwestern jersey right now, people. I got to throw my crazy comparison at these guys. I told them pre-show I was going to whip it out. Tyler, there's a backcourt that Boo Buie and Chase Audi's remind me of. You got any guesses what that might be?
Don't do it.
It's RJ Davis and Caleb Love. They remind me of a man. Listen, these guys are off the leash. They are just willingly allowed. And honestly, everyone wants them to go win games with them shooting 20 times a game each. And they've been historically inefficient guys. But man, when they get hot and they're both cooking at the same time, I don't think anybody in the Big Ten can beat this team. And maybe that's not saying a lot, but like that matters in March, man.
Hey, they're ranked, that's a whole different comparison. I hate comparisons, but it's the problem is I don't think they have a big like Armando, and so when I think they rely more on those two players than Carolina. RJ and Caleb can have an off night. Armando can step in and have a big night. Northwestern doesn't have that, but Northwestern has been exciting to watch. They get up and down, they run, they play hard, which is exciting to watch as well.
They're better defensively than Carolina. I think that's the best way to say it. They're a better defensive team, and that's why that's why they're winning. And their guards are just closing games. They're just better defensively.
Yeah, that's absolutely true. And I think Audige is a very, very large part of that with how good he's been as a two-way player this year. A lot of growth from those two, because I tell you what, guys, I watched a lot of Big Ten basketball. I have seen teams built around Boo Buie and Chase Audees lose a lot of basketball games.
Nobody
last
would have
few
picked
years.
those guys or Boo Buie to be first team All Big Ten. And I think that's a foregone conclusion right now.
Yeah. I mean, he's definitely in the conversation for that fifth spot for sure. You got the bigs everybody talks about. That fifth spot is going to be a choice between Jameer Young, Maryland, Boo Buie, Northwestern right now. Terrence Shannon probably in the mix for that fifth spot too. So I think you're right, RC. You know where my vote's going. It's the guy whose jersey I'm wearing right now, okay?
You got the wrong number on, man. Get out of here. You got the wrong number on. He's number 4 now.
After the loss, I don't think they're going back to 4, RC. We'll see about that. We'll see. All right, coming up, we're going to move to the conference that these two know and love, the ACC. Bunch of bubble teams in that conference right now, including Tyler Hansbrough's own North Carolina Tar Heels, including the Clemson Tigers, Terrence Oglesby's own. We're going to break down how those teams have helped and or hurt themselves in the last week. That's next on After Dark.
You're clear. All right, let's get Trevor back in here. What's up, Trevor?
Let's see. Mitchell says, does the Big Ten have the worst guards out of any power conference in the country?
No, because Boo Buie's in it. Dumb question.
Maybe a young Boo Buie. See, I like Dougie. I know I'm not as a scorer, but I like him.
He's coming along, man. He's tough.
McGay, I like the guards.
Yeah, you got Michigan State backcourt. Chucky Hepburn's had good games. I mean, I don't know. I think every good conference has good guards, so that's a tough question to answer.
Yeah, the conference can't be as good as we say it is without solid guard play.
Yeah.
And if Indiana had Xavier Johnson and Hood Schifino, I don't know if I agree with that.
Yuli wants some Jalen Pickett love. He says, does Jalen Pickett deserve to be in the Big Ten Player of the Year conversation?
No. 30 seconds.
He's all conference, but Player of the Year, no.
Yeah, you can't.
He'll get some votes. He'll get some votes. Yeah, if that's what he's asking for.
I think he'll get 0 votes for Player of the Year if that's the important topic.
Is there a Penn State writer
vote?
vote?
A vote.
Yeah, what are we going to do?
Somebody in Pennsylvania vote for him.
Pickett's awesome for the record. I absolutely love him. And, he went one-on-one, destroyed Bryce Sensabaugh, spinning baseline tonight when it mattered. So.
Welcome back to the Field of 68 After Dark. I'm laughing right now because our YouTube chat, who we love, by the way, wanted some love for Jalen Pickett, and it just resulted in me and RC just shutting down his chances for Big Ten Player of the Year. Hey, we keep it honest here at the Field of 68 After Dark. That's what we have to do when we are live with Randolph Childress, with Tyler Hansbrough, and with myself, Greg Waddell. Guys, we're going to move to the ACC next here, and we're going to talk about a couple different teams that are on the bubble. Couple teams that aren't on the bubble, but teams that have helped and or hurt themselves in the last week right now. Let's start with North Carolina. Tyler, we obviously are going to go to you here first. We've asked you about this team a bunch of times this year, and I feel like the last few weeks, it's starting to dwindle. Like hope is starting, the light at the end of the tunnel is growing smaller and smaller a little bit, and then they survive that game against Notre Dame. I think it would be fair to say you lose that game to Notre Dame, all of a sudden you are out of that picture. Right now, they're still firmly on the bubble. I'm sure that's what our bracketology guys are going to tell us when we do the show tomorrow. But let's just start broadly. Where are you at with North Carolina right now? Are you happy with how this team is playing? Do you think they should be further ahead of where they are?
No, I'm not happy. Do I think they should be farther along? Absolutely. The preseason #1 team in the country. And I don't think anybody it's Carolina fans or in the program are really satisfied currently, but they are a bubble team right now, in my opinion, but it doesn't mean that they're going to have their opportunities. They have 2 quad 1 opportunities coming up, Virginia at home. Then they have Duke at home, both games favored by Ken Palm. And then they have Florida State on the road. So they're going to have their chances, but they cannot lose to Florida State at Florida State. I think that, the road has been a difficult task for North Carolina. I think we're 3-7 on road games. So we go up to Notre Dame, and the first half was just awful. The guys' body language, they came out, they had 0 assists at halftime. And they've done that before, and I've always wondered if they're going to go a whole game without having one assist, which would be really impressive. But they did come out in the second half, and their body language got better, and it looked like they were competing. And for me, I can take losses, but if you lose the right way and you compete and you share the ball and the chemistry is going the right way, I mean, I'm fine with losing, but it doesn't seem like we've been clicking at times, and guys have been excited to play basketball. It's just kind of been one of those years where it just doesn't seem like everybody's really on the same page right now. So it's been tough.
Tyler, I got a question for you as an alum. Do you bring them back? I think everybody's eligible to come back but Licky Black. Like, is that from what you see, do you bring it back? If you wanted to bring everybody, if Armando said he's coming back, if Caleb Love, RJ Davis, everyone said they wanted to come back, do you bring this group back?
Absolutely. I think once you have more talent, you bring them back. Maybe they figure it out. And, I don't think this team has handled success well. And that's a whole different mindset, is when you're ranked number one versus trying to be number one. To me, to maintain that and stay and live up to expectations is a much more difficult task. But I think that what this team needs is a little more fluidity in where they share the ball. I've always said, if they get high assist and they're sharing the ball and they're playing with energy and effort, I think this team's very tough to beat. But, it's, at times it doesn't look like that's what's going on.
Tyler, you were the face of arguably the most talented group this sport has seen in decades. And I don't think there's a comparison from a talent standpoint, so I don't want to do that. I want to choose my words carefully here. But there's a reason this team was the number one team in the country preseason, right? It was because, they did bring everybody back from the team that made the run. These are all very talented individual players. They did add a guy who I think is very talented in Pete Nance. He's not Brady Manick, but he was one of the top players that hit the transfer portal this season. Is it just like a too many cooks in the kitchen thing? Is it differing personalities? Or I guess, is there any comparison to going back to your day when you're looking around that locker room and seeing a bunch of NBA guys everywhere? But I mean, you guys did not have these struggles. Watching your team, it looked like there was a level of unselfishness to it almost. Is that fair to say there's a difference there? And why do you think there is that difference?
I think kids are putting too much pressure on themselves. And I think they're putting too much pressure on themselves to score. And there's much more to the game. Off the ball movement, playing defense. It looks like everyone's living and dying by shots. And, if I were, looking at it, and I don't have much, I'm not inside or trying to gather information, but if they were just to stay in that locker room and start acting like they enjoy the game and playing with, a little more, effort, and it looks like their body language got a little better and start fighting for each other, I think the season would turn around. This season is not over, and a lot of people are there's a lot of negativity because it is Carolina. They haven't lived up to the expectations, so it's easy to point that out. But there's some big opportunities coming up, and they could win outright in the regular season and then make a little deep ACC tournament run. And I don't even think they're a bubble team. I think they're in. And if they get clicking and get it figured out, there's no reason this team can't make a deep run. I mean, just like they did last year.
Is Hubert the right guy for the job?
Absolutely. I mean, first year he goes to the Final Four, almost wins the national championship. If he won last year, we wouldn't even be having this question. I don't think this is on Hubert at all. I think Hubert's done a great job. It's actually pretty early to give him a evaluation at this point in year two. Let's see what he does with some of these recruits coming in. He has a great recruiting class coming in. I think it's awful early to start questioning that.
RC, do you agree? I mean, this is right back into our conversation again, right? Like, this is stupid to have this so early.
I think it is. I mean, I tell you what, how many schools would take a national championship, one rebound away from winning it, and then sitting here right now with questioning whether they're on the bubble or whatever? I mean, they're right there. They got, like you said, they got 2 quad one wins to go, and we're questioning whether he's the right guy for the job. Like, come on, man. He got the number 124 recruiting class in the country right now. Like, what are we talking about?
Yeah. I think there's a difference too, comparing what we did having this conversation 2 segments ago with a guy in year 6 versus comparing it with a guy in year 2. And a guy in year 2, by the way.
But no. The difference was there's a difference because Carolina, it's about hanging banners. There's a difference. That's a national championship place. So when you go there, you look at them jerseys, you know, it's like, hey, I want to be a part of something. That's why all the expectations from this group is because this group was close to joining that. And I get now because the betting and the fans and everything else, but some of these programs, like, there ain't no banners up there. You don't even have conference championship banners, and then you firing coaches. Like, man, get out of here. Like, stop it. Like there's levels to this. It ain't a whole lot of Carolinas out there. Like stop this foolishness.
That's a great point. It's a great point. I'm glad you made it. It's a fantastic point. We should not ever put Ohio State basketball and North Carolina basketball in the same sentence. Just should not. The only other thing I would add to the Hubert being the quote unquote right guy conversation here, you earn yourself leeway, 1, with a national championship appearance so early, but 2, when you extinguish the career of Coach K. Like, that matters, okay? Like, come back to me in 2 years, maybe, if we're still in this exact spot where we're out of the bubble. But this was not just like, oh, he made the tournament, whatever. No, he sent Coach K packing. Coach K is now on the sidelines, and he will never be able to say he beat Carolina in his final game at Cameron or in the Final Four with a national title appearance on the line. That absolutely matters, and no one can forget that. Let's move on from Carolina quickly before we have to go back to break. Let's talk Pittsburgh. They're currently a 10 seed in our bracket right now. You guys got a chance to sit down with Jamarius Burton. We're going to air that interview in just a couple moments. But before we do, RC, is Pitt safely in the field to you right now?
I think they're in. They can't have a collapse. But they're going to do what they've done all year. They're a tough team. They're a good team. Their guard play is as good as anybody in the country, because they're deep, and they got a closer. I mean, Burton is the real deal. If you hadn't seen him play this year, you're missing out. I mean, he's a closer, and they're going to be a tough out for someone because they defend their tails off, and they got 4 different guys that can beat you off the dribble and create, and they all can make shots.
Tyler, what do you like about Pittsburgh?
Yeah, I like Burton. In the eye test when they beat Carolina twice, I thought they're a tough team. The thing that I can't figure out is the net rankings that the NCAA puts out. How are they?
No one can.
53, but Carolina's 45, and they beat Carolina twice. I just can't understand that. And, you know, I look down here and they have a quad 4 loss. That concerns me, which not many teams do. But, you know, if I'm watching them play, I think Pittsburgh is a tournament team. It's not really a question to me.
That's a conversation we got to have at some point. But the thing, they started out, they were 1-3. They had some bad losses early in the year. So that was their quad 4 loss. But people often say, oh, when someone is injured, the committee is going to take that into consideration. There's no way you can look at this Pitt team and see what they're doing now and then question it. And like, they're barely getting in. Like, it's ridiculous. And that's the one thing I will say. I think that some of these other leagues, and I know it's you know, it's off topic here, but it's like the Big 12. We were sitting here the other night talking about, I think it's West Virginia, and we're like, oh my God, they're you know, these type of teams are in, or, you know, it's Texas Tech was the record. They were like 5-10. Like, how the hell are you in the tournament and you won a third of your games? Like so, unless you're telling me the Houston Rockets and the Lakers and the Warriors are playing in that conference, get the come on, man, you got big shit. So unless they're in that conference. No conference is that damn good that you can win a third of your games and be a bubble team. Man, stop it.
Yeah, I think you have a very fair point, RC. All right, we're going to air the interview that I mentioned that we have. Tyler and RC got to sit down with Pittsburgh's Jamarius Burton. Here's that interview right now.
Now, please. All right, joined by Jamarius Burton. It's been a while, my man. We talked a little bit when you were back at Wichita. 2 years at Wichita. We talked when you went to Texas Tech, a year there. Now you're in your second year at Pittsburgh. What's the journey been like for you? I mean, I feel like it was like 10 years ago that we talked.
Yeah, definitely. It's been a while. Right now, I just feel blessed, you know, to finally have a home, to be and at the right place at the right time around, the right kind of people, coaches, players, down to the managers and everybody that's a part of it.
Jamarius, hey, you're a North Carolina guy, and you handed it to my Tar Heels this year twice in Pitt, and you came into the Smith Center and had 31 on us. Do you get excited to go against the Tar Heels or Duke, the NC teams, or what's up with that?
Yeah, I mean, I definitely get excited for the opportunity to play against some rivals and some great teams that I grew up watching back home. So it was fun to be able to compete against the teams that I was watching growing up in Charlotte, North Carolina.
And never recruited you, I assume?
In the portal.
In the portal. There you go.
But not out of high school.
Yeah.
JB, what turned around for you guys this year? I mean, no one picked you to be in the position you're in right now. And you guys were obviously right there competing for a regular season title, playing as well as anyone in the league. What's part of the turnaround?
Yeah, I just feel like regardless of the ups and downs, we've continued to stay together. We've continued to follow coach's lead and continue to pull in the right direction. Early on, we had suffered, a couple tough losses, three loss stretch that, kind of punched us a little bit, but we went back to the drawing board. We continued to stay together throughout this run, and it's paid off.
Yeah, you were 1-3 to start the season. I think a lot of people don't remember that.
Yeah.
Obviously, you guys also had two guys, Dior Johnson was supposed to come in as a freshman and, a highly rated guy. Hughley was supposed to be the guy this year, and you didn't really have either one of them all year. It's really been done with transfers. You a couple years ago, Nelly Cummings obviously has done a great job transferring from the Patriot League. Blake Hinson, we don't even remember him. I mean, he was out of college basketball for a year. What did you think when you kind of saw this team put together in the offseason? My guess is you didn't know these dudes at all.
No, I didn't. I had a little run-in with them, prior to them coming over here. I played Blake when he was at Ole Miss. And when I played at Wichita State, I played Nelly last year here when he came back for Colgate. So I just had a little familiarity with everybody's games. And then we just got together this offseason, leading to the season. And we just was able to develop some genuine relationships that's carried over to the court.
Jamarius, you guys are a half game out of leading the ACC, taking first place. You're at you have Syracuse, you're at Notre Dame, and then you're at Miami. What would it mean to Pitt for you guys to win the regular season ACC title?
Yeah, it would mean a lot, for this program to have been, losing for the past couple of years, for us to be able to galvanize as a unit, to really create a culture, a family culture, and to be able to, finish it off on top would mean a lot.
Let's talk about you individually. You know what the team goals are that hadn't changed. I know you coach. I know the type of leader he is and what you guys have done for him. Let's talk about you. I will have a vote, and I got you as first team All ACC, and you're right there in the Player of the Year argument. Is that important to you? Just speaking for yourself, I know you're not supposed, teams to say, hey, don't focus on it. But for where you've come from, your story, this team, is it more motivation for you for that, like Player of the Year or ACC championship or anything? Like, how do you feel about the individual goals for you?
I mean, as it pertains to me, I always said that I'd get what I deserve, as long as my team wins. And that's always been my priority. And as you can see through my play, it differs from the night, and it's whatever my team needs from me to be able to get us, to put us in the best chance to win. And I've been pretty consistent with that all year. And I just look forward to continue to try to carry that over down the stretch.
Jamarius Burton, thanks, man. Thanks for joining us after dark.
On.
We're going to go straight to break, but coming up, we're going to talk about who the best in the West is in college basketball on After Dark.
All right, let's get Trevor back in here. Trevor, it's been a while. I think I turned it over instead of getting the wide open assist on going to break there. That's on me. What questions we got in the chat right now?
That's okay, Greg. Sometimes you pull a Coleman Hawkins, sometimes you pull a Boo Booey, you know. Somebody did ask in the chat when you guys were talking about tournament teams, they said, do you guys think that there should be a cap on the number of teams a conference can get in? They mentioned the Big 12, you know, having as many as 10 in the discussion, the Big 10 having as many as 10 in the discussion.
No. That's tough.
I don't think it should be a cap, but I do have a problem with, like we talked about. I don't think any league is that strong where you can be 5 and 15 or something like that and be a bubble team. You know, that's where I'm like, stop it. No league is that damn good.
I think that's what's interesting with those two that we just used as a comp here, though. Like in the Big 10 right now, you've got, I'm looking at it, you have 10 teams between 2nd and 11th that are all 6 losses to 9 losses. Like not much separates those. Whereas in the Big 12, like there's a very clear top shelf. And then you've got like Texas Tech and West Virginia, who are both on the bubble at 5 and 10 in their conference.
That's the one that feels a little weird to me. Like I think you're saying, RC, is like you got to get that conference record up a little bit, but it's so hard to do in the Big 12. Here we go. Welcome back to the Field of 68 after dark, 4th quarter time, gentlemen. We are into the stretch run here. We got Tyler Hansbrough. We got Randolph Childress. I'm Greg Waddell. We're going to talk who's the best in the West. We got 3 teams in action right now. We have Gonzaga beating San Diego. We have UCLA ahead of Utah. We have St. Mary's beating Pacific right now. We also have a 4th team, Arizona. They're not in action tonight, but they warrant insertion into the discussion here. I have a very simple question. I want both of your answer to this. Who's the best team out of that group of 4? Who's the one team you would take come March when it matters most? Gonzaga, UCLA, Arizona, or St. Mary's? Tyler, let's go to you first.
UCLA, and I like Mick Cronin. I think they've had deep runs. 2 years ago, I think Final Four. Last year, Elite 8. I like their players. I think they play tough. They're big, defensive mindset. So I got to go with UCLA.
RC?
I agree. I don't know how do you not go with UCLA? I mean, there's experience here. There's deep tournament run experience here. They seem to be getting healthy at the right time, getting everybody back. I just like their team with Clark and Singleton. We talked about the guard play. We always know about Tiger Campbell and those guys. I think their depth. The biggest thing is they got a defensive mindset. So no matter who doesn't play well offensively, they're gonna lock up and play physical, and get after you defensively. So they're a team that I think that wouldn't surprise me at all if they end up in Houston.
How far off is Arizona for both of you from UCLA? Is there like a clear separation between those two teams?
If, like we've talked about, they're bigs. I could see them getting pulled out against a team that runs a lot, make them guard on the perimeter. We talked about that with Purdue earlier, but that's only concern. But no, I don't think Arizona's too far off. I think they're capable of a deep run. I actually like Arizona a lot.
I like them. I just think they're a step. They're a step below. If I had to pick, like I said, my preference would be UCLA. Arizona they're going to score. They're good. I mean, they play a unique style in a sense, playing with the traditional 2 bigs. We've talked about that in nausea about that. I mean, when you get in small ball lineups, that's a problem. But their bigs are damn good, and they're going to be a tough ass out.
So here's what scares me about UCLA relative to Arizona. I think we've seen Arizona rise up in the best games they've played this season. I mean, you look at their losses at Utah, at Oregon, home to Washington State, at Stanford. None of those are good losses. I'm not saying that's a good thing to have those losses, but you look at their wins, man. San Diego State and Creighton on a neutral, Tennessee, UCLA. Like, they have beaten some great teams this year. You flip to UCLA. As of right now, UCLA has beaten 2 teams this season that are firmly in the NCAA tournament. Maryland, that win was great. They went to Maryland and absolutely stomped them. And then Kentucky on a neutral floor a couple weeks ago, we weren't sure Kentucky was in the tournament. Does that scare you at all, RC, that like we just really haven't seen UCLA beat the elites yet this year?
They struggled early, right? I mean, they came out, they struggled early in the year. And so we know what their identity is. Let's say that. We know the head coach, and we know what their identity is, and that's what we're banking on. That's what we're talking about when you talk about certain coaches. You know their identity. They've responded since then. They've won 6 straight. Some of that is, again, what's hurt the conference when people talk about it. They consider the Pac-12 as not necessarily strong. I know USC is a team that was right there in that group of, who's right there on the bubble as well. And so I just like what they have. They got guys that they're tough, they defend, they're battle tested. I just think when it comes all said and done, they'll be right there in the end.
Okay. I really want to see them get that last game of the season. They host Arizona. Right now, UCLA has a 2-game lead on the Pac-12 regular season race. It may or may not matter at that point if they can win out up until then. They've already had it clinched, but I'd really like to see them just beat a team that I can tell is going to be a team that could make a Final Four. I think that would matter and build some momentum for them. All right, if we remove UCLA and Arizona from that conversation, let's just look at Gonzaga and St. Mary's. This is the first year in a very long time where Gonzaga has not led this conference from wire to wire. Right now, they are a game back of the Gales. Which one of these 2 teams are you taking in March? Same question, but flip it. St. Mary's or Gonzaga? RC, what's your answer?
I'm only going to say Gonzaga because of Drew Timme. Only because Drew Timme. I want to say St. Mary so bad, but I really do. But because of Drew Timme is why that's the only reason why I'm leaning toward Gonzaga. I'd be lying if I said anything different.
Tyler, that's a pretty good answer. Can I offer you some Aiden Mahaney as a counterpoint?
No, I'm going Gonzaga. I like Drew Timme too much. Old school big man. He's got great moves. I also like Mark Few a lot, and that's not a knock on St. Mary's, but they do have 2 quad 3 losses, and I know they don't play in the toughest conference, and I can't figure the quad system out either, but that says something.
Yeah, you're right. It does. Must-watch television, right, for that final game of the regular season when St. Mary's has to go at Gonzaga with a share of that conference title on the line for the first time in a very, very long time. I think you can make an argument. It might be a stupid argument, RC, and Lord knows I make a lot of stupid arguments, but I think you can make an argument that this Gonzaga team, not being the consensus number 1 overall seed heading into the NCAA tournament, might free some things up for them a little bit, just from a pressure standpoint. This is the first time in Drew Timme's really his whole career. He's not coming in like with all these expectations of winning a national title per se this year. It would be something if this Gonzaga team with a great coach, with a lot of talent, was the team that actually did get back to that national championship game like they did a couple years ago. All right, guys, this was a great show. I really appreciate you. Shout out to everybody watching. We love our listeners. We're going to stick around for the afters. Jump into the YouTube comments if you want to ask us some questions. A big night in the Big Ten, and we had a blast. For Tyler Hansbrough, for Randolph Childress, my name is Greg Waddell, and we'll see you this weekend on After Dark. And you're clear.
1-1, boys. I'm still devastated Boo Boo we lost. I'm not going to lie. Now that we're off Sirius
XM. That messed your money
XM,
up, man. That messed your money up, right?
Yeah, we can't be playing with the money, RC. We can't be playing with the pockets.
You got a reason to be mad.
I'm very conflicted about my team ruining a Field of 68 sponsored 20-1 parlay.
I'll tell you who's happy that result happened, though. Bet Rivers. The great people at Bet Rivers. They're pretty happy with us that we didn't get that one right.
They did cover, though. They're 7.5 favorites, right? They covered.
Yeah, Wildcats did cover. That's true. We can hang our hats on that. All right, I can sleep happy in my Boo Boo jersey tonight knowing that we covered. That's fine. Trevor, let's get to the chat again. What questions we got?
Let's see. George said, what did you guys make of Memphis winning tonight? Kendrick was back and scored 19. Do you still think they're a tournament threat?
Yes. Kendrick Davis is there. What do you guys think?
When you say tournament threat, you mean what? Like to go to Houston or something? Either way, I like them. So I was the one arguing. So when I get Goodman, and wait till I find Goodman. When I get to Goodman, I'm going to argue about him.
You didn't like his
No,
whole
hell
rampage
no, I
this
didn't
week?
like his take, and I told him I didn't like his take on that. Tyler, did you hear his comment?
No, I didn't.
Goodman said that Penny should be. What did he say? What did he say? How was exactly say? Was it Penny?
I'm gonna pull the exact quote up just so we don't misquote the great Jeff Goodman here, but it was something, man. I did a double take.
It was basically like, at what point do you start questioning if Penny's the guy there? Was more or less
basically questioned if Penny should be the head coach at Memphis, and I'm like, are you kidding me, dude?
His exact words were, "If you are Memphis, are you okay with being on the bubble every year?" And then the caption of the tweet was, "Is Penny still the right guy for the Tigers?"
He don't even have a comment on it.
Hey, these coaches, man, we got to quit putting these coaches on the hot seat after, a bad midseason. I don't know. I mean, Memphis.
And they're in the dance. They're going to be in the dance.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think their faces said it all. I think we also need to get RC on some sort of committee. You should lead a committee on, coaches'
I'm
rights.
serious. I want to know. Like, I want to know what the hell what the Nets and everything else is going on, because it's going to change even next year for like the Big 12. Everybody's talking about the Big 12 now. Now that's going to change because they're going to add the team, so it's not going to be home and away anymore. It's not going to be round robin anymore. Now what? Now it's going to be just like the same issues that everybody else having. They're going to have. So if you're one of them teams and you got to play Kansas twice, Texas twice, and Baylor twice, like, come on. Or you're going to be a team that's going to be like, oh, we're going to play West Virginia, Texas Tech, like twice. Like that's we got to get a better explanation for the net. I just don't. I'm waiting on somebody to give me a better.
waiting on an answer.
I'm waiting on an answer. I'm hoping one of you two was going to tell me, like, explain it to me.
I mean, when Carolina beat Ohio State, that was a quad one win on a neutral court. Now that Ohio State's kind of dropped off, it's not even a quad one. That's why we're quad one-less.
And see, I don't understand it, because my thing is this: if I beat you at some point, like, all I hear is like the committee's going to take in consideration what a record's going to be, or what you were, injuries or whatever. Well, if I beat you and you were top 25, then it should be a quad one win at the time. And then now, because something, injuries, whatever else happens, and you're not the same team come March, it's a quad two or quad three. Just like tonight, how the hell is Penn State beating Ohio State, a team that lost 14 to 15, and that's a quad one win? Like, come on, man.
Like, I think our boy Ken Palm has to answer for some sins with Ohio State, man. I don't think I've seen a team be so off in the metrics from what the product is in all my years of watching college basketball. It's crazy.
That's criminal, because people's jobs is on the line, and that counts as there's no way in hell a team can lose 14 or 15 games and it's a quad one win because you beat them at that. Man, stop. Like, come on.
No, not good. For the record, Ohio State has fallen all the way down to 70th on Ken Palm. That's the first time they have cracked the 70s. Just a month ago, gentlemen, they were 20th in the country on Ken Palm. They have fallen 50 spots in the span of a month. That's what happens when you lose 14 out of 15 games. All right, Trevor, what else we got?
Yeah, I've never understood, by the way, why if you beat a quad one team, it doesn't just lock in as a quad one win if the team then loses, but I digress. Let's see. Kyle said, if you're a coach, would you rather have 20 blowout wins or 20 close games going into the tournament?
Because of what we just talked about is blowouts, right? It's net.
Net. You got to win blowouts because of the net.
Yeah, it has to be. But change the system. That's what we're saying. We're saying change the system.
Unless I got 20 Big 12 close wins.
What would be like who's the team that just has grinded out all these like miraculous wins this year? I'm trying to think of like a high major team. Is there anybody in the ACC?
I'm gonna find the luckiest team on Ken Palm that's a high major. They've got
it might be Providence again.
Stand by.
I know they've started losing, but like I think for a while it was Providence.
Okay, guess the luckiest high major team in the country. It is a tournament team. SEC.
Ooh.
Tennessee.
No.
A&M.
No.
It can't be Kentucky, can it?
Alabama.
No.
Is it Kentucky? We haven't said it yet.
It's Auburn?
It's Missouri.
Whoa.
Their net ranking is lower than UNC too. I can't figure that out.
Oh, there you go. That would be the luck component. Okay.
They have had 2 overtime wins and I think 9 single-digit wins, if I'm counting correctly.
Wow.
Trevor, you just pulling this out of your hat, man. What are you talking about, man? You're just making this shit up.
I promise you I'm not making it up.
Trevor's in his bag right now. That's what that is. He's got us on an island right now. He's just rocking us back and forth right now. It's special.
Okay.
All right, let's get a couple more.
Yeah, Brady says, ask Tyler what the best post move in college basketball is.
Man, I like an old-fashioned, just a jump hook, a deep seal jump hook. I don't see that enough. But post move, I would say a rip spin back to your offhand.
Who's got the best deep seal hook in the country this year?
Hunter Dickinson's pretty good at it. Let me see here. The young kid for Duke, actually, when he gets good position down low, he's kind of old school.
Which one, Filipowski or
Young? The transfer from Northwestern.
Yeah.
He doesn't score a lot, but when he gets a deep seal, he's all right.
Zach Edey does a good job. I think he concedes too much space.
Yeah, Edey does real good.
All right, this one comes in from Rob Doster. Not sure who that is. Should Greg be fired for mushing the Field of 68 best bets parlay? Yes, hell yes, or he owes Rob the winning. That's our
Get
YouTube
him, Rob.
poll.
Listen, I want to actually read straight from my text messages with Rob Doster in the last couple of hours here. First of all, this morning, like first thing in the morning, I sent him Big Ten Road Warriors parlay, Michigan, Northwestern, Penn State, all to cover, which, by the way, if he had just taken to cover, that hits, by the way. So I'm pointing the fingers back at you, Rob Doster. You're the one that went money line here. I responded to that text after Michigan won the game because Rob's gone radio silent on me. I responded to that text. I said 4 words. I said, I want a raise. Northwestern then immediately blew an 18-point lead. Illinois comes back to win. And my final text to Rob after saying that was, I want a demotion. So I'll take a demotion. Maybe not a firing, Rob, but I will willingly accept a demotion here.
Man. Will said, Nick Smith dropped 26 points on 14 shots. How much does he change Arkansas's ceiling in the tournament?
Come on, what do you guys take it?
He's good. Like, I don't know what you expect to say. Like, shit. Like, are you kidding me? Like, I still think, I don't know. I don't know. I like their team. I don't know how deep they're going to run it. I just don't feel as much the way I felt about them early in the year.
Yeah, I think when Brazil went down, I think that really kind of killed their deep tournament run hopes. But it gives them an extra guy. I mean, it'd help any team, to be honest with you.
Like that. Do you buy that he could do that consistently, though?
I don't think I don't think they need him to.
No,
but he's capable of doing it when they, he's capable of doing it when they need it. He's good. He's damn good. Like, man, he's good. He's fun to watch. He makes them significantly better.
Yeah.
Okay, I'll end on one of levity, and then we'll get to toasts. George wants to know everybody's favorite kind of pizza.
Cheese.
What style, though? That's like a flavor of pizza. Like, are we talking deep dish? Are we talking like New York style, thin crust? What do we got, RC?
Man, you talking to somebody that spent 12 years in Italy, dude. Ain't but one way to make a damn pizza. I don't get into all that thick crust and all that. I spent 12 years in Italy, dude.
So you're going like Sicilian on us?
I'm going, yes.
Okay.
I'm going margarita pizza.
That's special. I should have known that coming from you, RC. You've got good taste. I respect it. What about you, Tyler?
Well, I've only spent 1 week in Italy, so I'm going to have to go deep dish, and I'm going to have to go Chicago style.
Do you have Tyler, do you have a favorite place in Chicago? I know that's like I said, Lou Malnati's. Is that the spot?
Yeah, it is. It's pretty good. But I mean, it's
Give me the go-to, Tyler. If I go to Chicago, give me the go-to.
Illuminati's, man. That's the only thing I can think of, too.
Okay.
So.
Yeah, that's solid. All right, I'm a New York style guy. Cheese, though, like RC said.
Yeah, it's
Just New York style. That's all it is. I'm not picky. Great question. Who asked that question, Trevor? Can we get their name? Can we shout them out?
That was George. He did not have a last name.
Thank you, George. Thank you for
We've
that
also
moment.
just
We
thrown
really
a grenade into the chat because now everybody's arguing about deep dish and everything else.
I love it. That would be very on brand for us to have a lot of very fun, divisive college basketball things to talk about. And the number one segment of the show is what's the best kind of pizza? That's a great segment, gentlemen. All right. With our toasts, as we always do. Tyler, we'll go to you first if you got one ready. If not, RC, you can jump in. Who you got?
I'll give the toast to Michigan going into Rutgers, getting a tough win defensively, old school. So I respect that, playing the best basketball when it matters the most. So that's my shout out, the whole Michigan.
Tyler, that meant the world to me because that's my squad, and I could shed a tear right now. Cheers.
You know what? I'm going to go with Penn State. Going on the road, taking care of business, on the bubble, first 4 out. Road wins are hard, man. I don't care who you're playing. They're not easy. And if you think they are, ask Virginia after they're just upset. No one picked BC to beat those guys. I mean, road wins are just tough, and they went in there and got one tonight. And Jalen Pickett struggled. He struggled early with 2 points and finished up with 23, closed the show. So first team, Big Ten.
Cheers. I like Shrewsbury too, man. I don't think we really mentioned him in the conversation tonight.
I'm cheering for him.
He's done a good job.
He's done a hell of a job.
All right, I mean, I have to do it. It's in a losing effort, but I don't care. Boo Boo,
you got the jersey on, baby. Yeah. That's why I didn't take him because I knew you had the jersey. Now you got to get two. You got to get the forward now.
No, I think I will, genuinely. Listen, I'm in love with this man. I've never been more sentimental towards another male young adult man. I don't care. I'm in love with this man. His name's Boo Booey. This is a 4-year affair that him and I have been having. He's been playing hard to get. But listen, I fell in love with this man once 4 years ago. He was but a freshman at Northwestern. I was in Chicago visiting some friends. It was a Friday night, well past midnight Central Time. Northwestern had a noon tip the next day. Boo Booey was playing in that game. You know who I saw walked into the Chicago club doors at 1 a.m. Central Time a night before a game? Freshman Boo Booey. And the legend of Boo Booey was born. He went on the next morning to drop 20 points in a Northwestern victory after doing that as a 19-year-old kid. Absolutely special. There's no one like him. He's a hell of a player. He's on a hell of a run right now. He's the biggest reason why Northwestern has been so successful this season. And that monologue felt a lot less meaningful after blowing the lead tonight. But, man, 35 points, 6 threes. He's a dangerous man. I hope he has a lot of success in March because he deserves it. Boo Booey.
Boo Booey. Tyler, did you ever go out in college the night before a game?
Absolutely not. Never. I mean, I've had teammates to do that. I'm so paranoid about sleep. No. I respect it, though.
There's different ways to respect different approaches to that.
Listen, as you know, Tyler, when you get to the NBA, it's just some dudes got a skill. Like some dudes can just go out. I wasn't one of them. Like college, I did go out one night in college. When Maryland was in the ACC, and I went home and I hung out one time and played well. But I never ever again. Like that was never in my life. Like I was one of those had to get to sleep, bed, rest, everything. Like I would know guys that can stumble in there with the same clothes they had on the night before and give you 30. So it's a skill.
Yeah.
He's definitely got that gene. Or maybe he's just well rested now. Maybe he learned. He grew a little bit. He made some different.
I'm not saying he does it all the time. You the one said he was out at 1 o'clock.
I kind of blew up his spot there, didn't I? I'm sorry, Boo. I apologize. It's out of love again.
Blowing
I've
up
been
his
chasing
spot.
you I've been chasing you for 4 years, Mr. Bowie. This only ends one way. This ends with you and me in a Sweet 16 together, my friend, and I'll cheer you on every step of the way. All right, guys, this was a blast. Thanks for talking Big Ten hoops with me tonight, man. That was more than half the show. That's good for my heart and soul, guys. For Tyler Hansbrough, for Randolph Childress, my name is Greg Waddell, and for all the Bet River bettors out there that I mushed, I apologize. We'll see you after Saturday's loaded slate on another episode of the Field of 68 after